Because if I go and say, hey, I'm a female comedian, you see how everyone loved Hacks? I'd like to do this show about this female comic doing this. They'd be like, yeah, but there's already Hacks. It's been done. And you go, okay, but every male comic, like Seinfeld, and then is a sitcom about a male stand-up, and then Everybody Loves Raymond is a sitcom about a male stand-up, and then like there's so many sitcoms about male stand-ups. They'll be like, yeah, but that's different. This is where the subconscious bias against gender will happen.
Hi, I'm Zach Newmark, and this is Damn Yankee. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts for all the best interviews with the coolest performers based here in the Netherlands and those traveling through the country, like Ria Lina, who's a Filipina comedian, actress, and writer who you may know from being on Celebrity Bridge of Lies, Live at the Apollo, and Mock the Week. Ria was named as one of the Evening Standard's hottest comedians you should be watching right now. And she's very soon going to be touring the UK this autumn with her latest show, Rebellion. She also has a Bachelor of Science in Experimental Psychology,
Pathology,
and Experimental Pathology, and a Master's in Science in Forensic Science, my old job, and a PhD in Virology, which is under her belt. So it's not only her comedy that's highly intelligent, and she's getting a WhatsApp channel off the ground, but we'll find out more about that in a few minutes. Ria, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Oh my God, I super appreciate it because I think where one of the reasons that I really wanted to start talking to you was when I realized that you do kind of come back and forth to here a fair bit, and you had this joke that went viral a little while ago about, being in the American school and the difference between being in an American school versus actually being in America, which as an American absolutely cracked me up.
Oh, well, you know what? I'm glad that you laughed, because a lot of people, well, this is the trick to going viral, isn't it? Is that you have to split your audience between those that absolutely love it and those that absolutely hate it. And that was a very, shall I say, contentious joke, even though I think for most people, it hit it like you hit it, where you just go, that is on the money. Which, and now everyone listening is going, what is the joke? Do we say the joke, or do we
You can say, yeah,
well,
absolutely.
It's on Instagram. Go on Instagram. It's one of my 3 pinned jokes on there. But essentially what I was saying is that the crux of the joke was that I went to an American school here in the Netherlands, which is why I come back and forth, because I grew up here, still have family roots here. In fact, my parents are now Dutch. And I was saying I grew up in an American school here, but it's not the same as going to an American school in America. For example, here, because we're in the Netherlands, we have things like books, and nobody ever got shot, which people don't normally laugh at the shot line, which is fine, because I did intend it more as a commentary on something that's happening in the US right now, which I understand is getting quite bad. It's getting quite bad over there. In fact, I understand it's gotten so bad they've had to ban abortion just to have enough kids to shoot. Which is the joke.
They're hard. I mean, they're hard jokes,
Yes.
and
I don't pull my punches.
No, and for everyone,
but I'm only punching. I'm not shooting. So,
so it's okay.
So, forgive me.
But I mean, for anybody who knows your comedy, I would say that, I don't really feel like there are any topics that are off limits to you.
No, and actually I just did the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and one of the reviewers quite nicely noticed that I do try and shoot in all directions. They said that normally you expect, comedy tends to be very left-wing, generally speaking. And I, as a satirical comedian, try and keep myself off the political spectrum in order to be able to, shoot in all directions. And I think it was Jon Stewart at The Daily Show that said you can't, I mean, John is obviously very left now, and he makes it very clear what his opinions are. But I remember he was saying that it's very difficult. You have to shoot in all directions. You can't just be left-wing and constantly shoot towards the right no matter what they do. You need to assess everything that people do on its own merit. And I think that applies to not just criticizing things, but also lifting things up. I think that if the other side of the political spectrum does something that you agree with, I think it's responsible to say, I agree with that. Let's move that forward. Instead of going, because you came up with the idea, I couldn't possibly agree with it. Because we end up where we are now, which is in very bipartisan territory, where nobody's agreeing to anything and progress isn't being made.
I mean, no, it's, the differences are also just based on, what's reality, which also makes it very difficult to kind of discuss and debate and find common ground as well.
Oh my goodness. What's reality? I mean, that's a whole other podcast in itself, is what is truth? Because truth, truth used to be a thing that we could all agree on. Like science used to be truth. Science used to give us facts. And we would go, for now, these are the facts that we know. And sometimes science would move forward and go, oh, the facts we thought we knew aren't right because we've learned more. And here are the new facts as we've learned them. And now truth and facts are actually a matter of opinion. That we've opinion has risen in the last 20 years to a level at which people go, well, I don't believe that's true. So in my world, that's not true.
Right.
And you go, what do you mean you don't? It's not about belief, but apparently it is now.
I mean, how frustrating is that for you as someone who is, a very well-educated scientist?
Well, I've lost my edge. I think that's essentially it. You used to have a path where you could go, right, I've acquired this knowledge, and people would go, oh, we trust you because you've acquired said knowledge. You have done the work. And because you have spent the years, like, a journalist who spent years doing journalism, you go, I should be a trusted journalist at that point. My words should mean more than a 90-second TikToker.
Right.
And yet now, if that 90-second TikToker has the right hook and they've organized the video in the right way, the more people will see that 90 seconds than will read your article. And suddenly that truth is truth.
Right.
And it is kind of maddening because we've lost the ability to critically deconstruct what is in front of us.
Yes.
And even I find myself doing it sometimes. Like I find, it's, like I find myself trusting accounts because they've used better graphics. And you go, no, wait, hang on a second. I have to remind myself, or even, I think ChatGPT is a great example of that, is that I use it for research. I do not use it as a therapy friend. I do not understand anybody who uses ChatGPT as a therapy friend. But maybe you don't understand how large language models work. Like, why would you? Okay. Anyway, but
also a topic totally different podcast.
Total other podcast. But with ChatGPT, I use it for research. And the first thing I do, just like Wikipedia, by the way, Wikipedia, as much as we rely on it, never use it as your primary resource.
Yeah, exactly.
Always go to the bottom. I always scroll to the bottom and go, right, I need to find these. The beauty of Wikipedia is that it insists that everything is referenced. But when you go down the number of references that I click on that are dead links.
Yes.
And you go, well, this doesn't help me. And then I have to try and re-verify it in other ways. You have to verify everything 2 or 3 times. So when I'm doing my research on ChatGPT, I have to take every single bit of it and go, right, now find me this in real life. Find me this actually on the internet. I asked it to give me a list of references, I think, about hunter-gatherers. And I did that months ago. And I've just come across this spreadsheet of just references for hunter-gatherers. And I went, I wonder. And I just started cutting and pasting them because I hadn't done anything with it. And I started cutting and pasting it into Google, and they just went, yeah, we can't find this reference. We can't find. So essentially what it had done is going, well, I've done what you've asked me to do. I've given you a list of references, but you didn't say they had to be real. I do find that if you call it out, eventually it will back down.
Yes. But I mean, this is what people are relying on now for their information source.
Well, I mean, we've seen White House reports come out with false references. I mean, that's the other thing. The White House has fired all of the scientists across, all the government, NIH, just decimated and everything else. And then they come out with their own reports that when you look into them, you go, this came from AI. Like, none of this is real. And it's changing what truth is. So truth is now AI hallucinations because people are trusting it and not knowing how to double check it.
And we've talked about, your career and background in forensic science, which my favorite class in university was a forensic science class, actually.
Nice.
And, then going all the way through and getting a PhD in virology, living during the pandemic with a PhD in virology must have been incredibly tense.
No. I mean, I moved. So when comedy shut down, as it did as a social activity, I moved into science communication. And so it was very handy to, I was already working with Sky News and BBC and everything else. So to be able to just go in there and say, listen, I'm a virologist and none of the other virologists can talk to you right now because they're all actually working on COVID.
So call me.
So call me and I'll help you out. And I think it was a really important job to do because again, this whole thing about truth and fact, people going, masks will kill you. And I went, well, they haven't up till now. Why suddenly now are masks killing us? And being able to talk people through that, because most people were in this middle land of, I don't know what's right. I don't know what's good. And so it's just going, look, let me present some info to you. How do you feel about that? Sit with that. Because you can't force people to be okay with being vaccinated, but you can give them better information than they otherwise are getting from their aunt on Facebook. And that's what I saw my role being. But I don't know why everyone was so surprised. I do know why everyone was so surprised, because they don't all have a PhD in virology. But as a virologist, we were overdue a pandemic.
Right.
We have them every 100 years. Normally, flu viruses, but not exclusively. This time it was a coronavirus. And I hope that governments around the world really learn their lesson, because what they did after we almost had swine flu, after we almost had bird flu, they went, well, it's going to be flu. And I get why they did it. And they only prepped for a flu vaccine. But we had SARS-1.
Right.
And SARS-1 told us that it could be a coronavirus, and no one really paid attention to that.
And then MERS also, which was, also in that family, right?
Yes. So we had the warning signs that corona could be the next big pandy.
You're like crazy, you're crazy smart in sciences. I don't think anybody gets a PhD in this. You've got a Filipino mother and a German father.
Mm-hmm.
What was their reaction when you said, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm going to be on stage full time?
Yeah. My mother was like, oh no, but I can't. I wanted to say my daughter, the doctor. And I said, you can. I'm still a doctor. They didn't take it back. They didn't take the PhD back when I transitioned into the arts. They're fine with it now, but I think for a very long time, my father was worried I'd show up on the doorstep with 3 small children going, I'm moving back in. I have no money. But they're thrilled with it now. And I try and tell them whenever I'm on TV and go, you can watch this, and they'll watch it. And I think my dad gets a real thrill out of other people going, I saw your daughter on television.
Oh, cool.
I think he really likes that. But I think at one point, I was in my 20s, and maybe things have changed, but my mother said to me, I'm less worried about you than I am about your sister. And my sister was, in a proper job, doing proper stuff with a salary and earning money, and, in the city. And I said, why? She said, because you seem to be happy.
Oh, that's nice.
And I'm not saying my sister isn't happy, but at the time, she was like, my sister doesn't have the calling. Some of us have a calling to just do something. I'm very passionate about my work I love performing. I love everything I'm doing. I think my sister is highly competent at her job, very, very good at her job, but I don't think she has the love for it that I do for mine.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of people who work in office jobs feel.
What was the moment that you gave up doing the office job and went full time for entertainment?
What was that one precise moment?
Right.
I remember.
Was there a precise moment? Was there that one thing that kind of tipped the scale for you?
So I had an office job. I mean, you build your comedy career while you have a job. So they were growing simultaneously. And I was working for the Series Fraud Office, doing forensics. And it wasn't working for me. We didn't know I was autistic at this point, and it just wasn't working for me. I couldn't get my head around the hierarchy of listening to, having to do what someone above me was telling me to do, even though they were less qualified than I was, because they'd been in the job longer. So my qualifications were more recent and more up to date. I found that really difficult. And that was one hint. One hint was, Ria, you need to be self-employed. And the other hint, I think my last manager, they'd passed me around to managers. And the last one said, Ria, you have this tendency to create a vortex around you, and people get dragged in whether they want to be or not. I think that was the other clue. I was like, oh, I am meant to be the center of attention. I get this. So.
And you also, you've talked very openly about autism and, living as a person with autism. How much does this actually get under your skin that it's like so hard to go down and verify everything, and it just kind of sends you down rabbit hole after another, right?
I end up down so many knowledge rabbit holes, but it's interesting because part of the bit of me that loves detail and just loves to really, like a ball pit of detail. ChatGPT is wonderful for that because it just can give me so much more, so much faster than what I would consider a two-dimensional Google search. And so in that regard, I'm like, I am swimming in here. I am swimming in this ball pit. I'm absolutely happy as anything. But it is that constant questioning of, is this correct? Like it's the constant double checking. But it just means that I guess it takes me twice as long as maybe other people, but I'm double, triple checking. I'm making sure that I have sound references. And it actually, for a project I'm working on right now, means that I'm going all the way back to books, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's sending me all. I'm coming back round to books. So what I'm finding is, if you consider your book your primary, and then you've got your articles that are written about the books and the reviews as your secondary, and then your tertiary is somebody else who's just pulled together a blog on the subject, is going all the way back and finding a book and just feeling a certain amount of relief that you go, oh, there's a book on this. I can quote the book. But it's at the bookend that my responsibility for the knowledge ends.
Mm-hmm.
How authentic is my knowledge? I point to the book. And
Right.
at that point, if the book is wrong, then we go, okay, well, that wasn't me. That was that author.
Right.
And that had an editor, and that was checked, and that had a lawyer on it. So if it's wrong, that's not on me.
What's the project? Is this what you're doing for BBC Radio?
Oh gosh, can I tell you? All right, I can hint at it probably. I'm writing, what can I say? I'm writing a book.
Okay.
I'm writing a book. I think I can say that.
You
I'm
can
writing
say
a
that.
book. I think I can't tell you what it's about.
Can't tell us anything
Not
about what it's
yet.
about?
No, we haven't actually, it hasn't been released we signed the deal last year, but it got offered to me last year. I'm writing it now. Desperately writing it now because I got delayed by Edinburgh. So Edinburgh stopped everything. I was like, I need a show. And then now I'm like, I need a book. Everything in self-employment life is like a roller coaster.
Yes.
And so I'm writing the book, which is wonderful. I'm a feminist, so I can tell you that there's going to have that flavor to it, but very universal, very accessible to all people. It's not like, it's not like one of these, well, I'm a feminist and I only talk to women. It's not that kind of book.
Right.
I'm doing a historical research.
Fiction or nonfiction?
Nonfiction.
Nonfiction.
Oh yeah, no, very much. I want it to be, my dream is, I think it's the type of book that you would walk into the bookstore and find right there on the table in front of you. Which is nice. As a comedian, we don't normally get that.
Right.
If you walk into Foyles, which is, the big book, the famous one in London, you walk in and you've got all these pop history, pop science, pop on the front tables. And then if you go, oh, my friend, so-and-so, the comedian, wrote a book, they'll take you up to the third floor. They'll take you around the drama section. They'll take you past the music. And then there's like one little shelf and it'll have 6 books on it. And I will know the author of every single one of them. I'll go, oh, this is where all the comedian books live there. And I was like, no, I don't want a book there. I want a book on the front table. So I said I would write a nonfiction historical research piece.
And who are you reading now?
Well, I am not reading books other than for this project.
Right.
So I'm revisiting a lot of just biographies
Mm-hmm.
of women, of obscure women that I'm hoping to bring more to the fore.
It's interesting.
Yeah. I think that's as much as I can say.
When are you going to reveal more about the project, do you think?
Hopefully in November once it's delivered. I don't know when, the publisher's been holding it off. I think that the reason that we're holding off is because we don't want to be gazumped.
Gazumped?
Gazumped, is that the word?
I don't know.
Gazumped is that not the word? When you buy a house and then someone else, you put a bid on a house and then someone else outbids you. You've been gazumped.
I would call that sniping. I guess as an American, I would say you're
so
sniping.
American to use the word snipe in any other, to go, oh, well, sniping, it's when you shoot people from afar, or it's when you steal a house, or it's when you bitch at someone.
Yeah.
Can I say that word? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. We call it gazumping because I think we don't have sniping.
Is that
we do snipe. The Brits snipe. Oh, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, we snipe, but we wouldn't use it.
Is
Use it in that regard.
gazumping a British English word?
It must be.
I've never.
Or is it gazump? It's because, oh,
I'm
you see, you know what?
fascinated
Okay,
by
I
it.
say it in my show. I might as well say here. I went into early menopause. That was fun. My family go through menopause early.
Yeah.
My mom started at 35, and so I've been going through it. But it means that I have no estrogen in my brain, which means that my word recall, my name recall, and word recall is terrible. Gazump. Did I say gazump?
You said
Is
gazump.
gazump. Make a higher offer for a house than someone whose offer has already been accepted by the seller and thus succeed in acquiring the property. That's it. It's when someone makes an offer, has had it accepted, and then you overbid them and win the house. That's gazumping.
I think, is that sort of onomatopoeia? Because it sounds like the sound that I would make as the person who lost the house would be like, gazump.
Yeah. Or just as you collapse into your chair.
Right.
And go, I have to find another house that's not in a chain.
Because it's a British English word, I guess, but your accent is like...
My accent comes from the American School of The Hague.
Right.
Very much. But it is quite British. So I know it sounds American to the Brits, but it doesn't quite sound American to the Americans.
Right.
So I get a lot of, are you Canadian?
Uh-huh.
Especially now where it's not good. Like people don't want to sound American and they don't want to accuse you of being American. So.
One of my colleagues says it's the sort of quintessential international school accent.
Yeah, it is exactly that. It's a non-geographical, mid-Atlantic kind of accent. I mean, me and Katharine Hepburn, right?
That's what I was going to say, because it sounds like, like today's modern American English, but peppered with, a 1940s starlet.
Just a little bit. Oh gosh, if it got me a role next to Katharine Hepburn, I would love that. I know it's not possible, but
right. She's
just one of my absolute heroes.
Why?
She was such a strong woman at a time. If you go back and watch all of her movies, look how often she's in a trouser suit, in a pantsuit, because she was like, I'm wearing a pantsuit.
Her interviews also.
Yeah, she was just, there are a few women out there that you almost want to do a line between them. Betty White was another one. Betty White was one of the first, and Lucille Ball. These are all fantastic comedic actresses who were just strong in themselves, stood up for what they wanted, but were able to get it. Because let's be honest, there are probably more women who stood up and didn't get what they wanted. And even now, I find that as a woman, I'm still hitting ceilings and hitting doors and things closing. We had a moment in 2017 with the Me Too movement. We had a real resurgence. There was a fourth or fifth wave, some would argue, of feminism that really helped push us forward around 2017. But even now by 2025, we're seeing the backlash to that. We're seeing people respond to that. People are already tired of women yapping, and they're tired of women asking for stuff, and they go, you've had enough. You had a bunch. From 2017 to now, you've had some. Now shut up. You can't have any. And we see that I see it in booking policies. I see it in how it used to be that for a while, all of the clubs around the pandemic and just after were insistent on we must have a woman on the bill. And they actively try to get women on every comedy bill because women comprise 50% of your audience.
Right.
As the organizers at home, they're buying 60 to 70% of the tickets. Sometimes up to 80% of the tickets, and yet often will show up on the night and there will be 0 to 1 of the 4 people on the bill representing them. And already now you can see people just going, oh, it's too hard, or we can't find them, and it's a two-sided coin. I know from speaking to comedy promoters that women are the ones who cancel the most. They will cancel or pull out of gigs the most. And I can get why, as a promoter, that's frustrating, but is it that women are more flaky, or is it that the system isn't set up for the main caregiver to work at night, for someone who struggles to get home safely after 10, 11 o'clock at night to work, to be able to accept the job where there's little to no public transport, where, where our earnings are still a little bit out of whack. Although in comedy, I will say this, usually if the opening spot is advertised at 150, everyone's getting 150. They're not going, oh, you're a woman, you can have 120. Although
right.
I have had that happen to me before, where I have queried the fees to find out that coincidentally I'm on a different fee. So I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but generally speaking, there is more meritocracy, I think, in comedy at the club level. But so the question is, are women canceling more because of their personalities and because they're flaky and just difficult to work with as a gender? Or is it that we need to spend more time making sure that they can do the job and do it safely? At the higher end, at the end that sort of I inhabit on the circuit, I know that the women at my level are canceling because, unfortunately, scheduling wise, the circuit will book 6 to 9 months in advance.
Mm-hmm.
I can have gigs in my diary. I mean, we're already.
You do. You've got your whole like autumn tour booked out.
Well, autumn, yeah, that got booked out last year.
Yeah.
We're booking through the tour is at the moment booking through to March. We are actually in Utrecht on the 14th of December.
Oh, mark
so I'll
your
be
calendars.
over here.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm here. I'm coming. And we're talking to a few other places. So I'm talking to Amsterdam, talking to The Hague, talking to Rotterdam. So just join my WhatsApp channel and find out about those or my mailing list or my website or Instagram.
All sorts of places.
Options. I'm an online whore. I'm everywhere. But so
I
we're
think
still
the official term is online sex worker. I don't think we're supposed to say whore anymore.
I'm so sorry. Yes, I am an online profligate. Is that a word?
Nice.
Does that work?
Now. It works today.
Brain worked.
We just
right.
need to get to that 11 a.m. mark.
Yeah. And then then the caffeine kicks in. Woo! So the other reason that women quit at my end is because television books with 2 to 3 weeks in advance.
Mm-hmm.
And so I will get called to do a radio show or a TV show with less than a month's notice. And so if that gig has been booked in for 9 months, and then suddenly someone calls and goes, "Hi, instead of accepting a low 3-figure for live work, would you accept a mid 4-figure for television?" The gig is more often than not being pulled.
Right.
And that's the other frustrating thing is that I get it. Promoters are going, "I've just sold all the tickets based on your name.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're pulling the gig with 3 months, 3 weeks notice." Sorry.
Right.
That's really, I'd be better off just booking a white guy, selling the tickets off his name, knowing that he'll show up.
But
I don't know why I said white. Just guy.
But what's the difference in terms of, getting the offered on the TV, getting an offer on a TV spot? Because I imagine, male performers are also getting these offers and pulling out of gigs.
Well, I mean, even though, like, if we look at Mock the Week, which no longer exists, even though by the time it finished, it had 7 seats and only 2 were filled with women,
Mm-hmm.
because there are so many more male comics than female comics
Right.
in the queue, in the line, it still means that those of us in the female pool are getting called more frequently than all of the male comics that exist.
Mm.
So it's ironic though, because promoters are using our TV credits to sell the tickets. So it's a double-edged sword. You want me to have TV credits so that I sell your tickets, but then you don't want me to cancel when a TV credit comes up, when a TV opportunity comes up. So
Right.
it's a vicious cycle. I try, if I do have to pull, to offer to come back again and go, "I am really sorry, let's rebook that." And if I have to move it once, I try not to move it twice. I don't like to do that. I'm not comfortable with that. It'll always stick in my brain. It's the autism. It'll stick in my brain. That gig is there because I pulled it 9 months ago and I need to do that gig. And try and avoid, but I'll also try and rebook it for a time where I go, "Listen, I'm less likely to pull a gig in July because there's not as much television being filmed," for example.
And then what happens if you turn down the TV gig? Does that make it less likely that they're going to call you again?
Yeah, those opportunities they'll come once and sometimes never again. So you do need to say yes. There are most of the TV work at the moment is celebrity version of this, celebrity version of that. And there are a lot of celebrities out there. I'm always surprised when I get booked.
I like your use of that air quotes on celebrity.
Because I don't consider myself a celebrity. I've considered myself known in comedy,
Mm-hmm.
but as a celebrity, to me, that word is above me.
Why?
Do you know? Like, I'm not there yet.
Like, how did you get here today?
How did I get here today?
Yeah.
I took a bus.
Yeah.
Then I took a train. Then I took another train. And then I walked for 15 minutes.
See, so is that the difference? I mean, is the celebrity, where you can't sit on a train without people coming up to you?
You know what? I did have my agent ask you for a limo from London all the way to here. And you said no. You said no. So I was like, right, I guess I'll fly myself over. Never mind
Sure.
that it's a family
Has
birthday that
nothing
I'm
to
here
do
for.
with your family being
Nothing
here.
to do with the fact that I had a free place to stay or a birthday that I came over for. Everything to do with, I just wanted to say to your face, I'm really disappointed that you didn't treat me the way I expected to be treated.
I take that highly insulting, and I don't know if I'm going to ask you back. Of course, I'll ask you back.
Right.
Yeah.
If I make my own way here,
right.
You are welcome to come back whenever you
need.
Whenever you can make it.
We'll absolutely
Mounterport.
cover one of 2 train tickets and half of your bus transfer.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. But is that the difference for you? I mean, is that why you don't think of yourself as a celebrity? Is because you can jump on a bus? You can.
Do you know why? I think honestly, I don't consider myself a celebrity because I still have to create my own work, and I think that, and I think Catherine Ryan wouldn't mind. I know that Catherine Ryan, who is a very hard worker, like she has a fantastic work ethic, but I know that she said when she's still worried about the next job. She's self-employed as well. Like she's Catherine Ryan.
Right.
To me, she's a celebrity. To me, I'm looking at her going, "You have made it, girl. Like, well done."
She just did a sold-out show at the Carré in Amsterdam, big theater.
Yeah, she's huge up there, and yet I still think that you never know in self-employment when the next job is going to come.
Mm-hmm. But does that also make you better as a comedian?
To be desperate and take everything that's offered?
To not take for granted.
I'm not saying that's what Catherine is, by the way. I was saying that was about me.
I mean, I always, I like interviewing comedians and getting in contact with comedians because comedians build up their own career by doing their own PR, by doing their own, messaging on social media, by kind of developing who they are as the character on stage, but also, as sort of a business person developing their craft, right? And
I'm glad you like that. It is exhausting though. I think that behind the scenes, a lot of us are sitting there going, I didn't get into this to be a PR agent or to be a video editor or to be, all of the things that you have to be. I think one of the advantages pre-internet, comedians in the 90s just had to be funny. They just had to show up and be funny. And I think a lot of the comedians in the UK, especially that were around in the 90s, were buying houses off the back of the work because they were maybe getting some commercial work, some writing work. If they were filtering through to television as they got to a point of recognition that they were big, at the Comedy Store, and then they'd move on to telly. A lot of things haven't, things that have changed since then. The introduction of the internet means that. Well, first of all, we're still paying the same fees, if not lower, than we're being paid in the 90s. So that's a huge issue.
That's a huge issue.
Huge issue that there's also now far more comedians than there were because it's now considered a viable lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
With YouTube coming into play, I think around 2004, or was that Facebook? Suddenly everyone had access to watching stand-up comedy instead of what you had to do in the old days, which was show up to live gigs to see live comedy, or you could buy, an Eddie Izzard DVD,
right,
and then watch that on repeat. And now it was the bastion of those that were on the fringes of society. They couldn't quite hold a job down. They couldn't, they were just a little bit different, but comedy worked for them and they made it work for them. And they were these creatures of the night that would come out at 8 o'clock and talk and smoke on stage and then go off again. And now everybody's doing it, and it changes what your skill set needs to be successful. So then you just had to be funny. Now you can be not as funny, but excellent at posting online and sell more tickets as a result. And that is kind of frustrating. And so we're all, as comedians, desperately going, well, what is my skill set? We're also discovering now that every other comedian has ADHD. Everyone has ADHD. A few of us have autism, but I think ADHD outnumbers the autistics. Mm-hmm. And those with ADHD are now going, I can't think in a straight line. How am I supposed to build a business? Right. They are fantastically funny on stage. It's a lot harder to be, sometimes you can't get up in the morning if you have ADHD. You just can't. And then, but that's so then you're not posting that day. I can't post on social media every day. It would, as an autistic, it burns me out. So there are weeks where you just won't see any content from me. I will reshare. If I'm doing a gig and they've posted a story, I will reshare it and that is it. Mm-hmm. I certainly don't talk to camera. Oh, hello everybody. Come on, let's make a come with me today. Get ready with because I'm sitting there as an autistic going, I don't know what to say. Like, why would anyone want to hear this from me?
Wait,
I haven't crafted it. I haven't tried it 3 times in front of an audience. I haven't made sure that it definitely works. Why would I put this out there? I'm not wearing any makeup. What am I doing?
I mean, we talked to Morgan Jay a little while ago, who's basically, built his career and, by doing social media and this, just insane amounts of video from his tour and piecing it out and, parceling out what gets released when, and with a really strict schedule and a release schedule of, when all of this information is coming out. And it's amazing that he can do it. And it looks exhausting to actually be on the other end of it, because I don't know how somebody can go through and build a career that way and actually make time for developing the work as well.
Or having a family, or I don't know. I think I'm always amazed at everyone else's output. And then I remember, oh, wait, you're single, or you don't have kids, or or you're in a partnership with another comic, and between the two of you have the skill set, which is always nice when, when there's someone to share the load with. But yeah, it's the way to do it. I'm not saying it isn't, and I'm not saying Morgan Jay hasn't done it the right way. That is the way to do it, is build that online presence. I mean, mine.
It's exhausting if all you want to do is actually just get on stage and get out there and maybe do a radio show in the morning to promote the gig.
Yes.
Right.
No, I mean, it's a pressure. It's definitely a stress that didn't exist before. The stress used to be, have you written a joke today? And now the stress is, have you posted on social media today?
Right.
Have you reminded everybody, mainly the algorithm, that you exist? Have you fed the algorithm today? So it's quite frustrating, which is another reason why I'm just building my own WhatsApp channel. Which is, and the channel is literally just, it's like WhatsApp, but you just get news from me. Yeah. And you can choose when you look at my channel. It doesn't pop up in your face and go, Ria messaged you again. But if you need to find info about me, it's just there on your phone, which is what I really like. I'm a WhatsApper. I'm a phone person over email.
Okay.
Emails, because you get, when you get an email on your phone and you go, oh, my thumbs are going to get sore from responding to this. So that's why I like WhatsApp. So,
between having autism and you've got 2 children, 3
children?
1 million children. 1 million children.
I have 4. I have a stepson and 3 of my own.
How old? What's the age range of your kids?
The age range. So mine are all teenagers, and my stepson's older. He's almost 30.
Between autism, you said early menopause, the other work that you're doing as well. Yeah. 4 kids, 1 who's grown. I mean, it doesn't sound like there's a lot more time in there. It sounds like.
Oh, am I single? Yes, I am. Thanks for asking. I am very, very single. Because
is that the other reason for the WhatsApp channel?
Yeah, it's just me speaking to 700 anonymous people, just going, "Hey, yup," and just seeing how many people like it. No, I there isn't a lot of time. I do find that everything. When I first started, so I had 3 young kids. We had the 4 kids, but 3 under 4s, and I'm trying to build a stand-up comedy career. And this is in the UK, and you're getting paid at that level, 50 quid, maybe 100 quid a gig, of which 50 quid is going on the babysitter that you hired because you happen to marry a guy who also works at night. That I didn't think that through.
Right.
And so it created a work ethic in me. It's kind of like Catherine. I totally understand Catherine, is that you just go, if a project comes along, you say yes. You have to say yes to it, because if you don't say yes, someone else will. And even if someone comes to me with a gig still and I can't make it, I'll be like, I'm so sorry, I can't make that date. Can I do another date for you? Because you're just trying to diarize as much money as possible, because that's the thing about being self-employed. There's no safety net. There's no holiday pay. If you go on holiday, and I didn't go on holiday as an adult until 3 years ago. That was the first time I went on holiday.
Really?
3 years ago. I've traveled a lot. I've had holiday-like experiences, but if you see pictures of me in a bikini in the Philippines, that's because I'm on tour there. I was gigging as part of a festival there, and they gave us a couple of days to go to the beach. Wonderful, but it was still work. It wasn't, I think the first holiday I went on is I took my kids to Tenerife one Christmas because I needed sun. And I went, I want to go on a holiday where I can put my phone down and go, I'm not gonna touch my phone. Like
Right.
anyone messages me, I'm on holiday. And I'd never done that before. And I quite like it. God, all you people going on holidays, they're quite good. But we could, because up until then I couldn't afford it. I genuinely, with the 3 kids and, and clothes and piano lessons and food, that comes first in that order, food, and then piano lessons and clothes and then piano lessons. Don't do them naked. That's not okay.
No.
Not okay. So money was always a struggle. Money is a struggle when you're a comic. Like most comics I know are constantly in and out of their overdraft. And there is no, and then you get hit with a tax bill and you go, how did I make enough money to pay tax? And then you're paying tax out of your credit card and then you're paying that back for 6 months. Like that is the living cycle of a jobbing comic on the circuit. And because of that, I'm now at a point where I still, even though I could relax, and I do say no more now, I've learned in the past few years how to value myself, which is hard to do. But I do now say no, but you still I've learned the hard way, you don't let opportunities pass you by. If someone says, do you want to write a book? And you go, oh, I've got a radio show and in Edinburgh and a tour. You still say yes. You go, yeah, I'll fit it in somehow. I'll fit it in because that's not going to come again.
I mean, I recently heard an interview with Jay Leno, who has more money than anybody could possibly need. And
Jay, if you have spare, I'm here.
But he said, he's kind of the same way where, you never know when the rug's going to get pulled out from under you and you've just got to keep working. Yeah. And I want to say I heard Steve Harvey also, has been around in this, megastar for 20 years now, where he was also basically saying the same thing that, if the job comes and, and it's right, just go out there and do it. Yeah. You got to do it.
I mean, I'd like to think though, I have to say I'm not bad with money, but I'm not great with money in that it doesn't matter to me in the same way. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to go on holiday. I would love to be able to afford a really nice holiday and to be able to do that periodically. And I think it's important for people to do it. Now that I've done it, I'm like, oh, I get it. You break, you stop, you rest, you recover. This is no one told me. I understand that. But at the same time, I feel like if I get to a point, if I won the lottery, I genuinely think I would stop.
Stop doing comedy? I
would stop working. And I would shift to doing what I want to do. Like I would love to act more. I would love to do more acting. If anyone's out there, I have acted. I'm currently mid filming an Estonian film, which will be really interesting when it's finished. And I love acting, but I don't. Comedy is my bread and butter. Comedy is my day job. That's what people know me for. And talking about the news, satirical comedy, and all of that. That's my wheelhouse, I suppose. But I would probably, if I suddenly won the lottery tomorrow, I would probably stop and go, oh, let's make a movie. Let's go on holiday. Let's just stop. Let's get a massage. You know what I mean? Like I definitely think I would slow down if I knew that I had enough money to fund me comfortably for the rest of my life, and possibly, my parents, my kids. You set my kids up. I would probably do that. I don't feel like I'm working to have it all. I'm not there going, must have more, which is what I feel like all the tech bros are doing. And it really is frustrating. It's frustrating. I'm like, thank goodness Jeff Bezos got divorced because his wife is doing more with his money than he ever would.
Right.
And I'm like, please divorce the next one. I mean, by all means, enjoy. I know you just got married in Venice or whatever. Enjoy it. Was that him?
That was him.
Yeah. Enjoy it for 6 months or whatever. But, eventually, please, to the wife, see him for who he is, take half his money and start spending it as it should be spent, in a philanthropic manner.
I mean, is this also one of the things that comes out of, working so hard as a woman, also taking care of your kids? You said your husband, now ex-husband, also was working at night as well. I mean, there must be a lot of.
He doesn't work as much at night now, but also we don't need the babysitting anymore because they're teenagers, right. So they can stay on their own. But
it must have kind of had an impact on you sort of psychologically where you feel like, okay, I really, I want to do this gig, but I also have to be there at 7:00 in the morning to make sure that they get up and get out the door?
The one thing I was lucky in is that, and one of the reasons we divorced is it turns out I'm a night person and he's a morning person. And that doesn't work if you're a couple, but it very much works if you are an ex-couple still living together trying to raise kids. So he would do the morning shift unless he was teaching, because he's a Kung Fu master. So we would often do private lessons before school started. And then I would have to get in at 3 a.m. and get up at 7 and do the kids. But thank goodness most mornings he was there.
Right.
And 2 of my kids are like me and they're very much self-starters. So they would get up themselves and take themselves to school. And the youngest is, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Right? Right? Like he just still can't hear his own alarm. He still will sleep through it. He'll be like, can you wake me up? And I'll be like, I have to wake up to wake you up. What is this?
Right. Yes.
How do you not see how unfair that request is? No. Kids. Do you have kids?
I do. I have 2. I have a son who today turns 11.
Oh, happy birthday.
Today. Yeah, and 14. My daughter turns 14 in a few weeks.
Okay. Oh, you're just getting it. Oh, the fun you've got ahead of you. I'm just going to sit and watch just with popcorn.
Just hit me up in that WhatsApp channel from time to time. Just tag me in there.
How's it going?
You're right.
Has she yelled at you? How much does she hate you? How much does she wish she'd never been born? Yeah.
It happens. It happens.
How many words did your son say to you today? 3. Wow.
I know.
3 whole words.
Right. And they're all 1-word answers to 3 questions.
Yeah. And it's usually fine.
Right.
Fine. Sure.
But you're living with your ex-husband still.
Yeah.
I mean, how long have you guys...
That's how you know you're truly successful.
Right.
How long... That's why I don't consider myself a celebrity. All right. Why do you think of yourself as a celebrity? Because I still live with my ex.
But the 2 of you split up how long ago?
9 years.
9 years. 9 years ago.
Yeah, but we got officially divorced like 3 or 4 years ago. So we were still like during we split up, and then during the pandemic, we were still fighting like a couple. And I said to him, we have to. I always thought, I'm going to be honest, I always thought that Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin were wanky when they went, oh, we consciously uncoupled. And then during the pandemic, I went, oh, that's what that means. We hadn't consciously uncoupled.
Right.
And so we did. I said, we're fighting like a married couple. But the problem is that, men are like houseplants. If you don't water them, they wilt. And so he wasn't getting watered. And so he was wilting. And I was there, I was like, that's the problem, is that there's just constant animosity. But when there's no love, when there's no hug, when there's no makeup, when there's no, when there's not the other side of that relationship, it can get quite ugly. And I said, what we need to do is we need to consciously start treating each other with respect by acknowledging that there is a distance between us.
Mm-hmm.
And then things got better. And that's why we're able to live together also because I've lived with him longer than I ever lived with my parents at this point.
Right.
I've lived with him for like 20 years or something. And I think I left home at 17. So, we've been together. We've been in the same space a long time. It's like living with a family member as opposed to an ex-partner. Also, I don't really have any ex-partners to compare it to. I don't have any. He's the only one I've ever lived with. But, with that distance comes that respect. And like I said, there's a lot of ways that we complement each other. He does work, but his work is more concentrated. He'll teach in the morning, or he has a lesson, or he works part-time. And so therefore the other part-time he's looking after the house. Whereas I'm very much full-time working. Even though I'm around, whenever I'm home, there's always something to do. It's, research a book or post on socials or edit that video or answer those emails or, put feelers out for more work.
But so 9 years you've been in this situation. I mean, at what point did it stop being awkward? Because there must have been...
Probably at the consciously uncoupling bit. We were in...
Somewhere in the...
somewhere in there. We've been in separate bedrooms for at least 10 years, I would say, 10, 11 years, because of the evening morning thing.
Right.
So he was getting up at 5 a.m. and quietly playing guitar in our bedroom. And I was going, you cannot be doing that.
Yeah.
I need to sleep. And he's like, I'm playing it quietly. And I went, I can hear it. I'm up yelling at you. So it's not okay. So I started falling asleep in the living room in order that he could get up early and I could sleep in. And that just over time. So that happened before we split up. And just over time, we just started sleeping in separate places, which, by the way, is healthy. You're supposed to sleep in separate bed. You're not supposed to sleep in the same bed as someone. Can I just say that? Like anybody in the West, if you're sleeping together, it's not good for you. It's not actually good for you. So we were already in separate rooms anyway. So it just kind of just continue, like we evolved into this. It wasn't like one day
separate.
we split up and then rearranged the whole house and the kids were like, what's going on? Like it was so gradual and over time that's one of the reasons that it works.
How did your kids manage to handle, mom and dad aren't together, but they're still under the same roof?
So the older two for years were like, can you two split up already? And
including
then
his stepson, meaning one of the older two, or the older two
them.
from the two of you?
The older two of my three. So my stepson had left by then. The older two of my three were like, can you two split up already, please? And then once we sat down and told them we'd split up, my daughter especially was like, why are you still living here? Why are you still doing this to me? Can you please move out? Can I please have can we please have another home? And she wanted us in two separate rooms, as two separate households. The youngest was really shocked when I said we're getting a divorce because he doesn't remember us not together.
Mm-hmm.
No, he doesn't remember us together
Mm-hmm.
as per se. Like, again, it was so gradual. He was just like, well, these are my parents. They just yell and shout at each other all the time. That's just my life. And so he was really upset when I said we're getting divorced. But then once he realized it didn't actually mean anything, didn't change anything.
Right.
Then he went, oh, okay. So I think he's settled back into it. It isn't like, don't get me wrong. I think that they all feel that this is totally weird. And why do they have to be the kids where their parents still live together?
Mm-hmm.
But I think genuinely it really works. I think I don't think they realize how great it is for them to actually have us in the same house. Cause I'm here for 5 days.
Right.
I'm not, that is like two separate. I'm not there a lot of the time. I travel all the time for work. They have a steady base in one place where they get both parents. So when I come home or if Steve has to go off, then I can, take over. I'm the one who cooks. He's the one who cleans. He's the morning. I'm the evening. But I'm away for work. But you know what I mean? Like, I can do a lot of day stuff with them if I need to go on a school trip or whatever. It really works. Otherwise, if we'd gone into two separate households, the income available for them to be able to have piano lessons would have completely disappeared.
Well, see, and that was the other thing I was going to ask is that you said it really works, but, would you have still gone down that road if the money were different?
No.
No.
No. No.
And if the money came in now, would you, would that all, now you've been doing this for a number of years and you see, a sort of
probably
benefit, but also the disadvantages of it. So then from these eyes of being able to weigh the positives and the negatives, would you do it?
So my kid's going to Oxford now. Uni.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. I did that.
That was quite a humble brag there.
I did that. Yeah. He had nothing to do with it. It was totally me.
All you.
So the kids are starting to go to uni. And so we're just getting to a point where we could be considering it. We live in a social housing flat in London. And so part of it's me just going, why should I let him have the flat?
Mm-hmm.
We both have equal right to the flat. And social, housing's at a premium right now in the UK, as it is in the Netherlands.
Absolutely.
And so I was like, why should I move? Why should I let him keep the flat? This is a great location with great rent. Why would I move out? So that is part of me just going, maybe, if I win the lottery, I'll just buy the building and then you can pay me the rent. I would be that. I am that vindictive. If I won the lottery, I'd probably try and buy the building and keep, and preserve what it is. Obviously, not just kick my neighbors out and rent it out for high rates. No,
right.
Preserve it, but just be like, I'm your landlord now, bitch. Yeah,
it's good to see you're not petty.
Oh, I'm so petty. I'm so petty. Love a bit of revenge. People don't do it enough. I was just reading an article today about how people revenge quit. I'm like, this is brilliant. I can't revenge quit. I'm self-employed, but I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
But what, so then, if you're getting to this point where the kids are getting to this age and, they're starting to leave, what is on the horizon for you? both in your personal life and your professional life?
Well, professional, I'm just going to keep going.
Yeah.
I don't, I'm going to keep going. I would like, as I said, I am trying to get into more acting now.
Mhm.
I was an actor, a National Youth Theater trained for what that is. And I do bits of acting over the years, but I would really like to change direction
Mhm.
in that,
Yeah.
and there's a lot more streaming stuff and American stuff being filmed. So there's a lot more opportunity than there was. I think one of the reasons I got into comedy, because I started as an actor, was because it was very difficult to get cast.
Right.
A young American sounding Filipino 20 years ago in the UK, everyone's like, I don't know. What do you want me to do with you? I don't know what to do with you. Nowadays, it's like, oh, great, mixed race. And you sound like you come from there. We can use you.
Right. And also Hacks was very successful. And so you've got, maybe
Hacks
there's
was very
something
successful.
for more for women comics or women comic actresses as well.
You know what? You would think that would open the door, but it in fact closes the door. Because if I go and say, hey, I'm a female comedian, you see how everyone loved Hacks? I'd like to do this show about this female comic doing this. They'd be like, yeah, but there's already Hacks. It's been
Right.
done. And you go, okay, but every male comic, like Seinfeld, and then is a sitcom about a male stand-up, and then Everybody Loves Raymond is a sitcom about a male stand-up, and then like there's so many sitcoms about male stand-ups. They'll be like, yeah, but that's different. This is where the subconscious bias against gender will happen, is that we are not with Seinfeld. It's Seinfeld. He is the star, and Ray Romano.
Yeah.
He is the star, and it's for him. But the onus right now would be on me to be a big enough star that I can do whatever show I want. They'd be like, well, you need to be a bigger star. And I'm going, but you built them by giving them opportunities. That's how it used to be, is that television would pick comics
Totally.
and go, we are making you a star. Now it's like, make yourself a star and then we'll put you on TV. And you go, there are more people watching YouTube than watching your television.
Mhm.
I think you need to understand, TV really needs to understand where it falls nowadays, because it's still kind of wielding itself as this big power. And I'm going, yeah, if you want, a bunch of 70-year-olds coming to your show, which I do, by the way. Please come. No, but the fact is that TV thinks it has power, and it still is being really nitpicky about who it uses, but not then fulfilling the other side of the contract. The other side of the contract is you are supposed to take newer acts and build them to a position of prominence. One of the reasons that TV is falling over, and you can see it with things like Channel 4 in the UK. Channel 4 is only interested in new talent. They just want new. So they're completely ignoring this entire generation of people, of which I am in, who have spent years building and honing their skill set and are now ready for television.
To do something.
But they're like, no, we just want new. But they're giving new people. Then they go, oh, there's no money because nobody's watching TV. Yeah, because you're not putting good television on. You're taking a few people, you're not really building them. You're giving them a shot and then dropping them if it doesn't work. And you're giving this person a shot and dropping them if it doesn't work. But you need to actually invest in people. And if you're going to go new, fine, build them up. But ignoring the existing talent, which could in the meantime be sustaining a quality of television that would maintain viewership, is a mistake. There's this idea that anybody under the age of 25 only wants to watch people under the age of 25. And that's not true.
Right.
They want to watch good.
Do you think speaking out about this more
is going to get me booked? No.
Right. I mean,
No,
I
no.
think men have more of an opportunity to speak out about these things and still get jobs. But
No,
I think it's become
it
kind
is.
of apparent or more apparent
Yeah.
over the years that when women speak out about maybe even the method that's used in entertainment, so forget even
The casting couch?
But no,
Oh,
I
no.
mean, for
Sorry.
I mean,
oh, not that method. Right.
not that
sorry.
method. Not that
Okay.
method.
Yeah.
But I mean, even just the sort of production method of a show getting made in the first place. It seems like the women who speak out about these things the most are the ones who end up getting cast the least.
Yes, very much so. But I'm already not getting cast, so what am I losing?
Right.
I mean, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've done a lot of stuff, and I'm very grateful. And I know that I have champions in the industry that love what I do and will speak out about what I do. But the fact is that I'm not going to we have an industry that has a subconscious bias. They don't realize it. They have a very particular way of picking talent. There's an in crowd. as there always is. There was always an in crowd, and that in crowd can be made of certain artists, certain agents, certain, producers. And they're going to pick their favorites. They're going to pick who they like and who they think they like. There's a real divide between necessarily the feedback that they're getting about what works and what people are watching, because TV isn't looking, for example, necessarily at YouTube. If you look at YouTube and you see what is being watched in its millions, it does not look like television.
Right.
And some TV is getting it. There are people who are understanding the difference between the two, but a lot of it isn't. Like, I still don't understand why the BBC isn't. The BBC should be chopping everything up and putting it online and going, here's a snippet of this show, snippet of that. I've watched entire serials because I've seen a clip on TikTok and gone, I'd enjoy that show.
Right.
And then I go and I find it on television or on a streaming channel.
Absolutely.
And I watch it. And why all of our broadcasting networks aren't doing the same. They still go, no, we can't put it online, because there was this idea in comedy, especially, that if you say a joke on television, you've burned it. You can't do that joke again because it's been on TV. And so if you were to do Apollo 15 years ago, was it out 17 years? Yeah. 15 years ago, if you did Apollo, that's it. That set is burned. When people come to see you on tour, off the back of you being on Apollo, you better have an hour of new jokes because they've seen those jokes. And that still lasts in some people's heads. You've got older comics who are like, I can't put my jokes out online. Then that's my set gone. Those are all my jokes. And you go, well, first of all, people are seeing 30 seconds in between a cat video and a cooking video.
Right.
So they're going to maybe like you if you're lucky. They might scroll straight past you because they don't like your face. You don't know.
And then a lot of times they want to see that joke when they're at your show.
And then
right?
nowadays people want to see it again. A little bit more like music, where if you went to your favorite band and they only played new songs that you'd never heard before, you'd be like,
you walk out.
Well, where are my favorites?
Right.
But people you don't burn jokes anymore. I've done 2 Apollos. Those jokes are not burned. People who come to see me off the back of Apollo because they're getting fed so much information all of the time aren't going to sit there and go, oh, I remember this joke word for word. I can't believe you're saying it again.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. And that's the part of the mindset, I think, of television, is that they're not chopping up their original material, sticking it online and going, you want to see the rest of it? You don't have to put the entire episode. I'm not saying put the 30 minutes of your brand new sitcom out, but I'm saying pick some choice moments, put 5 videos from that episode out,
get people to come
to
watch.
you.
Yeah.
And you're not using it. Nowadays, a special can be compiled from 3 different recordings. You do the show 3 times and then go, I liked how they reacted. I liked my face there. There, you've got 4 different angles. You can, I messed that up. Let's just chop that bit out,
With your show coming up in the fall, Rebellion, are you going to do that as a special?
Yes. So it's already been recorded on Next Up. So if you can access Next Up, then you can see it there already. But it's because it's going to grow. It's a show. Shows are living creatures when you tour. And so I'll probably re-record it in February to go out again, because it'll be on Next Up which is behind a paywall.
Right.
Ria 30 if you sign up for it, and you get 30% off. And then we'll re-record it to go out like on YouTube or something.
It's super
after
cool.
That contract ends.
Because then you've got this book coming up that you were talking about. You've got
I may or may not have a book.
You have a show coming out on BBC Radio 4.
Yes, that starts
Also.
today, September 10th.
So that's
But
also
you can get that
amazing.
on BBC Sounds. That's a 5-part series looking at the difference between the science that the spa tells you the treatment's doing to your face and the actual science done in a lab and what they say it does.
And whether or not it actually
works.
Super cool.
Yeah, really interesting. And I managed to get the BBC to pay for me to get a facial. I mean, that's the real win. I went to the BBC. I said, I need a facial. They went, okay.
Right.
So that's one of the advantages of being
British
a woman.
people,
I don't think a man would have gotten that over the line.
This is what your licensing fee pays for, British people.
Yeah, that's what it pays for.
Well, we'll leave it there.
Okay.
I think if people want to hear more about this, they can go to your WhatsApp
Good luck
channel.
finding me. I'm about to be canceled. TV just canceled me.
But they can go to your website. What's your website?
RiaLina.com.
And they can hear all of your jokes about school shootings in America. They can
on Instagram. You can find that on Instagram, Facebook, or If you go to my website, rialina.com, you can either join my WhatsApp channel, which is I just tell you dates and give you links for tickets and everything. So if you're a phone user, that's great. Otherwise, you can join my mailing list.
Great. All right. Well, Ria, thank you so much.
And I'm coming to Utrecht on the 14th of December.
And come and see her in Utrecht.
Come see me.
Yeah. All right, Ria, thank you so much. I totally appreciate it. It's been great doing this.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks.
Damn Yankee is produced in partnership with NL Times, the top choice for English language news from the Netherlands. Founded nearly 15 years ago, NL Times grew to become the #1 site for information about this country, featuring more news stories every day of the week than any other website. Keep tabs on the latest top stories and breaking news from across the entire country, not only in Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and The Hague. Find out more at nltimes.nl. Damn Yankee is an NL Times podcast. The show was created by me and Peach Rizzo. Peach produced this episode, and Marcus Engel edited the episode.